Morning and welcome to episode 2 of North by Northeast. It's a behind the scenes look of a typical trip for me, which I'm releasing as part of a June-July update 2025. What a fantastic backdrop. View not unlike the box, my favourite brand of tea. So I ended episode 1 at Durham, where I left this morning, not too early. And I've headed slightly south and a little bit west into the Yorkshire Dales. And I've pulled over for lunch and a cup of tea, in fact not far from where I stayed just a couple of months ago, for some walks around Aysgarth Falls, and I recorded part of an update there as well. I'm a little early to check into the site, which is normally 1 o'clock for club campsites, and I'll be staying at Hawes. As far as the van is concerned, or the bike, or any of the gear I use to make these films, that could cover several episodes, and there are plenty of channels out there covering the technical aspects of all those things. If I were to do that, I would probably only talk about things that I had known and owned for a very long time. The van, for example, 4 or 5 years now I think, so I could say I know it well enough to talk about it in detail. The bike I've had for less than a year I believe, and I'd like to get to know it a bit more I think before I said too much about it. As far as my camera gear is concerned, that's a lifelong story, so I think I could talk with some confidence about that. So, having said that, it's time to set off for Hawes. I should be there in about 20 minutes or half an hour. I'll get settled in, then you can join me for either a cycle ride or a walk around the local area. The views, fantastic as they are a little bit hazy, so I probably won't put too much more dash cam footage up. Well, it is later on. I've settled in, had a cup of tea. More about the site later. Let's go and have a look at the village. Cracking cheese they sell there. I say sell, I mostly help myself to the samples. So the village itself is quite busy today, but it is a Saturday in springtime. What a fantastic church. And it looks like it's being used for so many different things in the community. Well, that was a little tour of Hawes. And I thought to myself, what can I chuck on top of a load of cheese samples? It couldn't possibly go wrong. So I stopped for a pint of beer. So as I said, yeah, it was quite busy there. Tomorrow being a Sunday, looks like most places are closed in fact. So it might be a bit quieter. I'll come back and take a few more stills. However, I think my priority tomorrow is going to be exploring the area by bike. So I'm going to head back to the campsite and I'll speak to you again tomorrow. Morning, let's go for a bike ride. Let's start with a quick tour of the campsite. Show you all of the campsite there. It's quite big and last night it was very busy. Seems to be emptying out now though. So I'm going to go the opposite way from the walk last night down to the village. This is a beautiful place. And then to be fair, I haven't filmed the high performance cars and motorcycles that keep overtaking me. They do spoil the view from time to time. There's a lot of detail in this landscape and a lot more than I can show you in this footage. The bike is great for exploring it and getting an idea of what the landscape is like. I think this location is one to come back to on foot several times during a longer stay. And sadly, I've only got the 2 nights. Now my cycle route is circular and the last bit will be along main road. And I'd say I'm just over halfway round. Okay, so much for Hawes being quieter on a Sunday. I'm going to head back to the van for a coffee. About half an hour or so later, coffee has been consumed. I've got the bike strapped to the van. I have to be a bit careful because when the breeze picks up, like it has now, it can catch. So actually I'm strapped round through to the handle of the van, and you can see it's moving quite considerably. I've only had it fall over once or twice and would rather avoid it if I can. The 1 o'clock rush to get into the campsite has started. I was part of that yesterday. It'll be interesting to see how much the site fills up again this afternoon, as temperatures are set to be quite high in this part of the world for the next week or so. I'm going to swap cycling for walking, have another look around the area, and I'm going to film something to put out on the channel. Join me tomorrow to continue this update. We're going to a different destination and it's somewhere pretty special. Welcome to the freezing cold and damp of the English Lake District, where the temperature is in the mid-20s and the streams are as low as I've ever seen them at this time of year. I recall reading on a trip here several years ago that the wettest place in England is just over that ridge over there. I have no destination in mind for my walk today, other than the sheer enjoyment of immersing myself in the landscape and looking after this, which is why I come to these places and do these trips. This seems like a beautiful location to bring this 2-episode channel update to a close. I thought that rather than show you the arrival in the valley from the point of view of the van, I'd do it from a bike instead. There's a little more engagement with the landscape that way, I think. I'll bring you that in the closing sequence. To accommodate the extra episode, I'll have to play about with the running order a little. So, as you've seen where I've been recently, here's what's coming up on the channel. So apart from a mixture of shorts, which are always a little more recent than the longer films, there'll be some winter walks, notably at Folkestone and Hayling Island. And Hayling Island will be in the form of a trailer for a couple of films I'll be bringing you later in the year. After that, there'll be some walking and cycling in the Norfolk Broads, with beautiful autumnal light. I don't have a planned channel update until late August. However, if it turns out to be possible, I should do an unplanned one before then. Maybe even on the next trip, who knows. I'm going to play you out some scenery from this beautiful area in the Lake District, featuring how to arrive in the valley by bike, and some locations I haven't been to yet. I have been your avuncular host. Thanks for watching.